On Christmas Day, 1949, a trial began in Khabarovsk, the Soviet capital in Russia's Far East.
Государственные посты, что применение бактериологического оружия запрещается международными конвенциями.
On the stand were 12 men from Japan's army, from high-level generals to low-level enlisted men. They were charged with developing and using biological weapons and conducting live human experiments. All 12 pleaded guilty. It was a significant trial because it was the first time in history that biological warfare crimes was prosecuted. And to this day, it was the only time. Yet in the West, few have heard of it. Newly shared records are drawing renewed attention to the case. Earlier this year, Russia shared some declassified pre-trial interrogation documents with China.
This stamp reads declassified.
Testimonies from Japanese soldiers working under its main germ unit 731 describe biological weapons experiments in horrific detail.
Question: do you know how the Japanese army planned to spread plague, cholera, and anthrax bacteria? Answer: I read a document at the command headquarters which stated that Haibai village was one of the locations where bacterial dissemination experiments were carried out using artillery. Hundreds of Chinese people were taken to open fields, after which artillery shells filled with plague bacteria were fired at them. After some time, the bodies and the infected were collected to calculate infection rates, and the results were used to assess the effectiveness of the bacteria. How cruel it was.
It was only one of too many such unspeakable experiments, and the horror went beyond secret labs. Japan had already deployed biological weapons in China. The Soviet Union and the United States were next, had Japan not surrendered. All of this should have shocked the world when it came to light at the 1949 trial. Yet by then, the US had already granted immunity to Unit 731's leaders in exchange for their research. These crimes against humanity were overshadowed by the rising tensions of the early Cold War.
I think a lot of people in the West saw that as Soviet propaganda. And the US government was able to use that angle to keep wraps on that story. And so the Americans could look at that and say, it's just another show trial. It's all anti-American propaganda. So you can just ignore it. And so most Americans did.
Well, as a historian yourself, what's your verdict then? Are these materials from the Khabarovsk trial in fact credible?
Yes, I think the Khabarovsk trial testimonies are a very valuable primary source. It's really the first, most extensive explanation of what happened there. I don't get the impression that there was a lot that was exaggerated. And I can say that because I've cross-checked those with sources in English, American documents, and they by and large say much the same thing.
80 years after the end of World War II, new evidence continues to emerge, and that chapter of history is still being reckoned with, amid another turbulent moment in global geopolitics.